Hello, welcome to Arlington High School in Math 4 Honors. Today, we're going to be looking at the first of our Desmos investigation videos. This is going to go along with Desmos investigations that my students are doing in Math 4 Honors, where they're going to explore mathematical ideas and learn more about the math that they're working in by using the amazing online and free graphing calculator known as Desmos. I want to say right away that I'm not shilling for this company. I'm not trying to raise them money, nor are they paying me any money. I don't even know the people that create the program. All I know is it's probably the best free or not free graphing calculator I've ever seen in my life. So let's jump right into it and see how we use it. Now, before we even access the website, let me just say that I am doing all of this on a Macintosh. So some of the things that I'm going to be doing using the web surfer Safari might be a little bit different than what you use. You may even choose to do some of this using the Desmos app on your phone. That would be cool too. But obviously, depending on what platform you access it from, things might be a little bit different. Although generally speaking, the website is the same, whether you're accessing it from a Mac, a PC, whether you're using Safari, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Chrome, or other web servers that I don't know. So, regardless, just keep that in mind as we go through it. All right, but now what I'd like to do is I'd like to open up my Macintosh computer and show you how this is done. Excellent. We've now got Safari open and we are ready to go. Let me go up to the search field up here. Let me type in www.desmos, that's DESMOS.com. Excellent. I hit enter. Boom. Opens up the Desmos website. I wish that it took me right to the calculator, but it always takes me to this home page. So I'm going to hit that giant red launch the calculator button. Excellent. All right, that's it. That's how you access the website. It's not very hard. Desmos.com, and we're there. All right. What I want to do on this next page is I want to talk to you a little bit about creating an account. Now, I kid you not, I'm somebody who gives a lot of math curriculum away for free. But I know how I raise revenue when I do raise revenue. I don't know how these people make money. I don't. Because when you set up an account, you will get it's completely free. There's nothing that you pay for. There's not even 99 cents that you pay for. It's a free account. You might think, oh, well, then I'm going to get a bunch of junk mail. I've never gotten an email from these people ever, and I can't figure out why that is. They create one of the best products I've ever seen. It's like Google, and then nothing. No advertising, nothing at all. It's just amazing. And really, the big advantage of creating an account is that it allows you to save your work. So if you're at home and you're working on a tablet or your phone and you save a graph and then you want to come to school and you want to open it in a computer lab, you can do that. So anyway, let me show you how to create an account. I'm not going to actually create one because I have one already, but at least let me kind of show you how you access that. So you just go up here. It's very simple, up to the button that says create an account. Click on it. It asks you for your name. It asks you for an email. It asks you for a password. That's it. And once you do that, you have an account. It is insanely easy. Again, I'm not going to do that, but let me show you how to log into an account. That's right beside it, right? The sign in button. Let me click on that. So it asks you for your email that you set up the account with, not even for your name. So I'm going to put my email in. This is my private email. I didn't set this up using my school account. And now it asks me for a password, so let me do that. All right, I tend to use very long passwords. Okay, and I'm in. That's it. And what's really cool now about being into my account is that now if I go over here on the left-hand side and I click on this button here, what happens is I see all of these different Desmos worksheets that I can access. All right, all of these different ones that I can kind of get the ability to get to, okay? Now again, from today, I'm not going to open up any of these. Maybe I'll open them up in the future. But today what we're going to do is we're just going to completely start from scratch, all right? But if I want to save my work, I can, and then I can open it up anytime I want, all right? So let's move on and start entering some basic functions. All right, I want to put in this basic function. Now, before we do that, I'd like to take you on a little bit of tour of sort of the keyboard. Not the keyboard on my computer. The keyboard on the computer works great and you can enter stuff from it. You can enter actually most of the stuff from it. But see the little icon down here. That is the keyboard icon. All right, I can click it to open it. I can click it to close it. I'm going to have it closed anytime I want to really look at the graph and have it take up the majority of the screen. But if I make sure that it's open, right, I get all sorts of stuff here, right? I've got the squaring button. I've got the generic exponent button. I've got the square root button. I've got all sorts of stuff on this main page that I can get to. The greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to symbols. All of those things we're going to need today. Okay. Notice this ABC button here. If I click on that, it opens up a keyboard. Now, if I've got something that's got a keyboard on it, this one is not all that helpful. But, if I'm working on maybe a tablet that doesn't have an automatic pop-up keyboard, this might be good. But even with my own keyboard on my Macintosh, I like other things on here. For instance, the theta. If I'm doing some polar coordinate work, I want that theta. I love this button over here, subscripts. I use subscripts all the time. We'll see how those are done in a later demonstration. But there's a lot that you can access on this keyboard that you wouldn't be able to get to on your normal keyboard. Let me get out of that for just a second. And let me come over here. This is an exciting part of it. This is where I can get some more interesting functions. So for instance, if I click on the Functions button, the first tab is trig. I know that maybe trig isn't everyone's favorite, but trig. We can get to the sine function, the cosine, the tangent, etc. There's a bunch of trig stuff here you've never even heard about, right? And we're going to get into some of it. Much of it we won't be working with this year. All right. The middle tab, statistics, if I click on that, there's a bunch of stuff there that we'll never use in this course. But, you never know if you're doing some statistical work, especially if you're in AP statistics, you might want to have access to that. The miscellaneous tab over here, I definitely use that a lot. When I click on that, I see some things that I should immediately recognize, like the natural logarithm, or the common log, or the just generic log, log base b. I might need to get to all of those. Now there's plenty of stuff on this screen that you'll never touch, although if you do play around with it, you might get to learn some math that you wouldn't otherwise get to see in high school. Anyway, let's go back out to the main screen for a second, and let's enter this function. I'm going to actually put it in function notation. I'm going to put in f of x equals x right from the keyboard. Now if I open up that electronic keyboard, I can hit the squaring button, okay? And then I can put in minus 2x minus 3. Side note, you can definitely use the caret button, right? The caret button, which is this thing. Very often it's above the 6 on a keyboard. You can use this just like you can on your calculator to get exponents. That's fine as well. Now what's really cool is as soon as I type that thing in, I've got my function. There it is. Isn't that cool? I can even ask my calculator to evaluate function notation. So if I go down here to line number 2 and I put f of, 5 in there, parentheses, right, then what I get with 12 is I get the value of the function when the input is 5. That's really kind of cool. I really like that option. So Desmos will actually evaluate functions for you. All right. It'll also sort of plot important points that are on a function. For instance, if I bring this thing down here and I click on the y-intercept, then it says 0, -3. Granted, it doesn't put it in the parentheses, and that drives me nuts, but whatever, that's convention. I could click on the x-intercepts, click here, look at that, -1, +3. If I click on the turning point, it'll give me that too. It'll give me 1, -4, right? It's really rather neat what it can do. Now, just so you're not confused, you don't have to put an equation in f of x equals. You can certainly use y equals. So for instance, down here in line 3, let me just put a different one in. Let me put in y equals, 2x plus 1. Great. And then it graphs another one, right? If I wanted to, I could then go up and click on the intersection point of that line and that parabola, and it would give it to me, right? So I don't need to put it in function notation, but it's nice if there's some reason I want to evaluate the function. But I can certainly put it in as y equals as well. So that works quite nicely. Now, let me kind of leave this one up here. I do want to mention something else, which is how you plot points on Desmos. Okay, you can actually say to Desmos, hey, just plot this point. So for instance, if I come down and in line 4, if I put in parentheses, all right, let's plot the point 2, 7, parentheses. There it is, right? And that's kind of nice. The point can be on the curve, the point can be off the curve, and you may want to plot points. It won't be something that you'll do a lot of, but you might want to plot points here and there in order to have a piecewise function that has like a point hanging out or something like that. Okay, so let's keep going. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually erase everything that's on my graph right now. That's easy to do just by hitting these X's on each one of the lines. It just erases them. All right. What makes Desmos really cool isn't what we were just looking at, because really your TI graphing calculator or other online programs can do things like that. What's really, really neat about Desmos is its ability to be a dynamic calculator. Dynamic means that you can allow things to change and investigate those changes as they happen. So what better thing to look at than y equals, I don't know where that came, there it is, y equals mx plus b. All right, we should all feel very, very comfortable with the equation of a line. Now, Desmos knows x is x. Desmos knows y is y. Desmos also knows that my phone is ringing. So I'm going to pause. All right, so we're back from the phone call. Excellent. All right, so what as I was saying, Desmos knows x is x. It knows y is y. All right, but pretty much all other letters like M, B, H, A, well, most other letters, it thinks of as constants that you haven't given a value to yet. So now if I go up to line 1 and I just type in y equals mx plus b, all right, so I've put that in. Notice right away Desmos is saying to me, hey, do you want to add a slider for M and B? All right, and the answer is, yeah, I want to add a slider for both of them. So I hit both. Now right now, notice that M and B have defaulted to values of 1. So it's now showing me the line y equals x plus 1, okay? But watch what happens. If I go up and I grab B, I slide it back and forth. Notice how that line's y-intercept is changing. Isn't that cool? And in fact, you can make it do it by itself by just hitting the play button. That's cool. Again, I kind of like controlling it myself, so I'm going to hit the pause button. Then I'm going to shift it back. Let me bring the value of b back to maybe a value of 3. There it is. And let me now play around with the m. And of course, as I change the value of m, you can see that the line is getting more and less steep. Sometimes it's got a positive slope, sometimes it's got a negative slope. But you can really investigate, and of course, as a math teacher, I can really show students now how the graph of a line depends on its slope and on its y-intercept. And it's so easy to do because Desmos just automatically puts it in there. It's just not hard at all for it. All right? So sliders, very, very important. All right, let's take a look at graphing a piecewise function. Now, let me X out that line, okay, which will get rid of the sliders, okay, and now let's try to graph this piecewise function. Now, I'm not an expert in Desmos, okay, but I do not believe you can put this in as one single formula. I'm going to put in these two formulas as two different functions. So in the first line, I'm going to put in y equals x plus 3. Now, how do I tell it to only go from -5 to 2? That's a little bit tricky, but once you get used to it, it's easy. What I'm going to do is right after typing in y equals x plus 3, I'm going to put in one of these curly brackets, right? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in -5. I'm going to go to my sort of extended electronic keyboard, grab the less than or equal to symbol. Then I'm going to put in an x. Then I'm going to put in less than 2. And now I'm going to put in the other curly bracket. And I'm going to hit enter. And look at that. We've got a line that starts at x equals -5, ends at x equals -2. It doesn't have anything else. Now notice what Desmos didn't do that you probably want it to do. Didn't put a nice, really filled in circle at x equals -5, y equals -2, and then put in this like open circle at 2, 5. It didn't do that. All right? And that's because Desmos is really, really smart. And it's very hard for it to show you that the function doesn't apply at x equals 2 because it applies really close to x equals 2, right? I mean, it applies all the way up to 1.99999999999, So it really has a hard time with that. All right. Let's put in the other part of the formula. We'll put that in line 2. So in line 2, what I'm going to put in is 9 minus, parentheses, x minus 4, parentheses, squared. Again, I'm going to put in my curly brackets, and then I'm going to put x greater than or equal to 2. And another curly bracket. Okay. Then I'm going to hit enter. And there's my parabola. Now, what you can see in this case is that the function's actually continuous. And at least in my Math 4 Honors class, we've talked about that a little bit. The reason for that is that at x equals 2, both x plus 3 and 9 minus x minus 4 squared, both of those algebraic expressions are giving us the same y value. They're both giving us a y value of 5. So they're nicely linked up. Now, it could be that maybe you're doing an investigation and you're writing up in a report and you want this graphic, but you want both of them in the same color. So let me show you how you can fool around with colors and dashing and all that kind of stuff. This is really minor, but it's kind of neat to know. So you go up here to this little sort of settings icon, right? We're all used to this meaning, settings, and I click on it, all right? And now I can choose any one of these lines to modify. So let me take the 9 minus x minus 4 squared, and let me change that to being the same color as the x plus 3. All right, there it goes. Now we have it, right? It's now looks like it's all one formula, so to speak. Okay. You do have the option, if I go up here and click on it again, you do have the option as well of having things like dashed lines versus solid lines. I think its color palette is a little limited, but hey, nobody's perfect. All right, let me get out of that. For the time being, I'm actually going to close down Desmos for a minute, okay, as we move on and talk about the next small thing. All right, so let me get rid of that window. Excellent. All right, so the last thing that we're going to do today is we're going to look at how you can capture an image off of your screen or capture an image of your screen and then paste it into a document. So that's going to be important, at least in my class. And it's, of course, a good thing for everyone to know how to do. Now, one of the problems is that this varies a little bit depending on whether you have a PC or whether you have a Macintosh. Since I'm working on a Macintosh right now, it's actually very difficult to show you what it looks like on a PC. But here's kind of what it looks like on a PC. So on a PC, you'll find something called the snipping tool. All right, the snipping tool. You can search for it in the programs and things like that. And when you click on the snipping tool, it'll open this little box here. All right. And the cool thing about the snipping tool is that when you click on a new snip, it will allow you to literally drag a rectangle kind of around a portion of the screen. All right? And then that portion of the screen, everything inside of the rectangle, will become an image that you can now copy and paste into a document. Now, this thing has those options, copy and then paste. But, whoops, if you didn't know how to do that, it's really kind of helpful. If you hit the Control button and then you hit the C button, that will be copy. If you then hit the Control button and the V button, I wish it was P for paste, but Control P is print, right? Oh, and then of course I wrote the word print. Then you'll get paste. All right. On the Macintosh, it's exactly the same keys, except instead of Control, you use what's known as the Command button, which looks something like this. Command plus C equals copy, and Command plus V equals paste. All right, I'll show you how to do that in a moment because I'm actually working on a Macintosh. All right, so let me get rid of the PC stuff, and let's open up that Desmos again. Great. All right, so on the Macintosh, we use something very similar to snipping. We use what's called grab, and it's right down here at the bottom of the screen. Okay. Now, the grab icon works almost like the snipping tool. If I click on it, all right, a little bit different because it doesn't pop open that thing. I have to go up to this menu and actually make a selection. Okay. Once I've clicked on that, it's ready to go. Now, how much do I want? Do I want, just the graph? Do I want the graph plus the code over on the side? It depends. It depends on what you're trying to present, why you're trying to present it, etc. Let me just grab the graph. So now what I do is I just drag a rectangle around the area that I want to snip or clip or grab or whatever. I let it go, and it automatically pops open into like an image box. Now right now I haven't copied that yet, but if I do Command C, not Control, Command C, it's now copied. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into a program called Pages. All right, so if on Macintosh you have MS Word or Pages or anything like that, it can also go into PowerPoints, into sort of presentation software like Keynote or PowerPoint, anything where you can paste an image file, because right now that graph is just an image file. That's all it is. It's not a saved image file, but it's an image file. So now if I go and I open up my Pages document and I type something in like, this is the image for task number 1, colon, do a little carriage return, put my cursor where I want it, hit Command V, and there's my graph. Right, real easy. Okay, and again, whether it's for my own assignments or whether it's for something else, it is a great idea to learn how to be able to take portions of what's on your screen on a computer, and again, snipping tool on PC, grab on Mac, they all work the same way, very easy. I don't know what you'd use on a Chromebook, but there's probably something, and you can grab those images. All right, I think it's time to give Desmos and my Macintosh a rest. So that's gone. All right, and let's wrap it up. So today what we did on Desmos is we looked at a lot of different things. We saw how to enter a simple function, right? How to put points on a graph, how to add sliders so you can change different parameters of a function, and how to enter a piecewise function. Okay. We also saw how, just generally speaking, how to take a clip of an image that's on a computer screen and copy and paste that into a document. All of these are skills that you're going to need to be able to do while you're working on the Desmos investigations for Math 4 Honors. On the other hand, if you're just watching this video because you wanted to learn a little bit about how to use the program Desmos, that's awesome. All right? It's going to be a great program and a lot of fun to play around with. And I hope you join me for all of these investigations. For now, though, let me just thank you for joining me, Kirk Weiler, for another Math 4 Honors lesson from Arlington High School. Go Admirals. Until next time, keep thinking and keep solving problems.